That moment when you go into a Northern Ireland bar and are immediately accused of being a bad person because you're from the United States. It instantly went from, yes, I'm American, to, well, who'd you vote for? And I kind of was just shocked. I'm like, wow, that was very direct. I've visited everywhere in the UK, and so coming up here's the last spot so I can be able to say that I have been everywhere in the UK. That is the moment when it just went dead silent, and I was met with, you're in Ireland, this is not the UK, we're Irish.
If Republicans agree so much with what Trump is doing, why would you be ashamed to say that you're a Donald Trump supporter?
Welcome back to my channel. So this week I have found a story on TikTok, obviously, of a woman from America who has been traveling around Ireland and found herself in a bar in the north of Ireland and got herself into a little pickle, and now she's very sad about it, and of course she went to TikTok. So let's just jump straight into the video and see what is going on.
That moment when you go into a Northern Ireland bar and are immediately accused of being a bad person because you're from the United States. Doesn't feel very good. Culture shock, I guess. But we're staying in this cute little coastal town, and we went to just enjoy a beer, and we're like, we don't want to talk about anything or anything like that, and it just ended up with me in tears. So, if you're an American citizen, maybe just proceed with caution.
Okay, so that was the first video that she posted. So she's crying, she's very upset. She didn't want to talk about politics, but she didn't really tell the full story. So immediately she's saying, like, we just wanted to go enjoy our drinks and, be careful, proceed with caution if you're an American citizen. We just don't want to talk about politics. Now, I already know exactly how this conversation went. I'm Irish, so I know exactly how this conversation went. Before I even watched her full explanation, which we're going to watch now, before I even watched her full explanation, I knew exactly how this conversation went. So let's watch her full explanation, and I will be pausing it along the way and jumping in with how I feel about this.
Story time of why I felt uncomfortable and unwelcomed in the north of Ireland. I walked in with my husband to the central bar, and I immediately noticed that they had the world news on, rightfully so. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this world, and sure, they want to watch it. I'm a visitor in your country. That is completely your prerogative. You can watch or do what you want. That's fine. I genuinely mean that. But when I walked in, there was a cute little fireplace, and so I asked the gentleman sitting there if that table was open. They then said, yeah, you can sit there. And so my husband and I sat down. The woman behind the bar was so kind. She was very nice.
I'm already just going to stop there for a second, because even her saying, like, the news was on. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. If they want to watch it, that's fine. Yeah, the whole world is watching what's going on, mostly because of your country. Everyone on earth has an opinion about it. Everyone on earth is feeling some level of disgust. Everyone on earth is feeling some level of fear. Everyone on earth is feeling some level of frustration and heartbreak because of your country and the government that most people voted for. And yeah, people are paying attention. You are on holidays. Everyone in that bar is not. Everyone is just going about their daily lives. You are on holidays, having a little drink or going around looking at all the cute places to see in Ireland, which, like, yeah, you're welcome here. Come and see whatever you want. Ireland is beautiful. Ireland is absolutely beautiful. I completely understand why people want to come here. I love my country. I completely understand why people come here. But most people who are here are not on vacation or holiday. Like, everyone is just going about their normal lives, and that includes watching the news.
Our pints, what have you. Then the gentleman said, are you American? And I said, yes, we're American. And I'm not lying to you when I say it instantly went from, yes, I'm American, to, well, who'd you vote for? And I kind of was just shocked. I'm like, wow, that was very direct. And I said, we're on vacation. We're trying to get away from all of that. We don't really want to talk about it. And I did not know that that automatically meant, oh, you're a MAGA crazy Nazi that blah, 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 blah. Like, I've been reading.
If you didn't vote for Trump, you would have no problem saying, I did not vote for Trump. Do you know what I mean? If you were not ashamed by your country's current, well, we could argue that this isn't new. The way that they're behaving isn't new. But if you were not ashamed and embarrassed by your leadership, by your government, you would have no issue saying, I did not vote for this. This has nothing to do with me. I did not vote for this. I did not greenlight this. I did not participate in this. I did not contribute to this. I was trying to work against this. I'm disgusted and shocked and ashamed by my government. As an American person, that this does not represent me. The government does not represent me. I didn't vote for this. And this woman who's like, we're on holidays. We just don't want to talk about politics. You do not get to conveniently not talk about politics when it doesn't suit you. You don't get to vote for Trump and then absolve yourself from any of the consequences or any of the judgment or any of the valid criticism that comes with that decision when it fucking suits you, when you're on holidays. And I'll tell you something, you do not get to be apolitical in Ireland. You cannot opt out of politics in Ireland, especially the north of Ireland. Okay. And I'm not just making an assumption that she voted for Trump. There is evidence that she did vote for Trump, and we will get to that, okay? So let's keep watching.
In my comments. Had no idea. Now, the other thing people were upset about was the fact that I called it Northern Ireland. I will say this. I did Google. A lot of people are like, can't you just Google search it? I did Google search Cushendall. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying it wrong too. Sorry. And I read Northern Ireland. And so that's what I said. And again, was not trying to be offensive to anybody. Now, if you're wanting to know what I said that really set them off, I'll tell you. They said, so where are yous traveling from here? Fair question. I love bar talk. Yeah, I said, we started in Dublin. We went up to Giant's Causeway. And we just are kind of going to go all the way down until we hit Dublin again to go home. And he goes, oh, okay. So what brought you to, what brought you here? And I told him, I have visited England and Wales and Scotland, and I've visited everywhere in the UK. And so coming up, here's the last spot so I can be able to say that I have been everywhere in the UK. That is the moment when it just went dead silent, and I was met with, you're in Ireland. This is not the UK. We're Irish. And I was like, oh, again, I apologize. Very sorry. I did not want to upset or offend. And I even went so far as to let him, I'm like, I'm so sorry about that. And he goes, let me tell you something. And so he continued to tell me why, they are not British. They are not the UK, that they're Irish and how bad the British are. And they even showed me the plaque in the alley about the 1981 hunger strike. And I was very polite and keen to learn about something I don't know. I'm sorry if you find I'm uneducated. Maybe I don't know everything, but possibly that's why I'm there to learn. And I was thrown off guard. I wasn't expecting. People are like, what do you expect? I'm sorry. I guess I did not expect to just be candidly like, well, who'd you vote for? And so everything at that, we went back into the bar after they showed me the plaque of the 1980.
Okay, so the everything that's happening in everything that America is doing right now doesn't just affect people in America. The whole world is being impacted by the Trump administration. The whole world has always been impacted by American politics and American government. The whole world is really affected by this and impacted by this. And everyone is paying attention. And Everyone is invested and disgusted by what is going on. I don't think there's anything shocking about asking an American, who did you vote for? I don't think that's shocking or weird at all. I don't understand why that is such a sensitive topic or sensitive question to ask someone. Personally, if I met an American person and we were all sitting in a bar, I would absolutely ask them, who the fuck did you vote for? Because I don't want to sit and drink and laugh and ha ha he he with someone who supports the bombing of Gaza. I'm just jumping in here to say that although I would absolutely and have absolutely asked people who they voted for, I also wanted to just say that most of the time you don't even have to ask people who did you vote for, because you can tell who they voted for based on the conversation. Do you know what I mean? But if I was talking to a group of American people and they immediately said they don't want to talk about politics, they immediately didn't want to talk about who they voted for, they immediately just, let's not talk about sensitive topics, I would automatically know exactly, what flavour of American they were, and I would probably give them a bit of shit, not gonna lie, and then I would proceed to fucking ignore them and not want to have fun with them, because why the fuck would I want to have fun with people who are greenlighting and complicit in everything that we see going on, who voted for someone who supports Netanyahu, voted for someone who is taking away women's rights, voted for someone who is clearly a fucking racist, voted for someone who is deporting like all these people and separating families from each other, just to name a few. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Obama were great people either. Do not get me wrong. Okay. Do not get me wrong. But one of these things is way worse than the other thing. Okay. One of these things is way worse than the other thing. So the thing is about this woman is she is on holidays. She just wants to go and have a laugh. She just wants to go and she wants her political leaning and the person who she voted for to she doesn't want to suffer any consequences of that. So it's completely fine to make loads of people in your own country and lots of people in other countries not only inconvenienced, not only uncomfortable, but dead, displaced because of your government. But you can't handle being uncomfortable for 5 fucking minutes because someone is asking you, did you vote for this? Who did you vote for? We're either going to get along in this situation or we're going to have a little bit of it's going to be a bit sticky. It's going to be a bit icky. And in my opinion, if you are a Trump supporter and you voted for Trump, do not expect to be welcomed with open arms everywhere you go on holidays, especially in Ireland, especially in the north of Ireland. You do not get to be apolitical in Ireland. You do not get to be apolitical in the north of Ireland. And honestly, I just want to say something. I think people don't realize there's a difference between American Republicans and Irish Republicans. That means very, very, very different things in America and in Ireland. She called the north of Ireland UK, and all these people did was make her feel uncomfortable. She's kind of lucky. That's all I'm going to say.
And I continued just our own drink conversation. And because the news was on and because people tend to drink in pubs, the longer we were there, the more drunk people were getting and the more upset they were getting and the more nasty the comments began to come. And although they may not have been directed directly to me or my husband, yeah, it just, in general, remove the politics. The whole bar atmosphere just felt very, very hateful. Just, I had a very low energy. I'm like, wow, it feels not good in here. I'm like, wow, it feels not good in here. It does not feel good in here. And to me, I was just thinking, I'm like, okay, I was in the wrong for saying Northern Ireland and that we were in the UK, and I got corrected. And I even went so far as to learn what they wanted to say, hear them out. And the one guy even told him, like, hey, they're on holiday. Let's not go there. And they just couldn't help themselves. That I tagged in my video, I'm sorry, I corrected it. Genuinely didn't know.
She also tagged the video, and instead of using the Irish flag, she used the Ivory Coast flag, which is like the same flag but it's just like inverted the wrong way. So she's just not doing the like stupid American stereotype any favors. Like, she's just putting her foot in it everywhere she goes. She's acting like she's doing these people a favor. I heard them out, I let them say what they wanted to say to me, I was trying to learn. Yeah, she's acting like she's doing these people a favor by giving them the time of day to try and help her with some of her ignorance that she's going on. Also, and if she traveled around different places in the north of Ireland, I'm sure she would have seen all of the support for Palestine is very evident all around Ireland, not just in the north of Ireland, all around Dublin. There's all around everywhere. There's evidence of support for Palestine. There's evidence for, like, we're against this. We do not support genocide of anyone. We do not support genocide of the Palestinians. Ireland and Palestine have had like a really, really, really deep affinity for a very long time, and it's really deep rooted in our culture to be pro-Palestinian. Obviously, we are so against Netanyahu. We are so against colonialism, occupation, and it's an emotional thing to even begin talking about, to be honest. And to have an American woman just coming in, all I just want to say is that she's lucky that all she felt is uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? All she feels is uncomfortable. There's a lot of people who are feeling way more things than just uncomfortable because of the person who she voted for. There are dead children. There are parents burying their children because of who she voted for. And she wants to get on the internet and pretend that she's a victim because she was made to feel uncomfortable because of very, very, very valid reasons, in my opinion.
I apologize. I now know very clearly that you guys are Irish, not a part of the UK. I have no beef with that. Not at all. I genuinely just wanted to go in, enjoy some pints, and if it was a friendly conversation, I will gladly go back and forth. But to bring up any sensitive topic, anything like that, I would have said the same thing. Like, I don't want to talk about that. It's uncomfortable.
So the not wanting to talk about sensitive things, why would you want to talk about sensitive stuff when you're drinking? Like, why would we talk about any sensitive topic when we're drinking? Because we want to know who we're having fun with. We want to know who we're having pints with. I don't want to share space. I don't want to share laughter. I don't want to share hee ha-has with someone who is okay with Trump and Netanyahu's goings on. I don't want to share pints and have a laugh with someone who is not radically anti-genocide. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Sorry. I'm going to make it uncomfortable. I'm going to be that fucking bitch who makes it uncomfortable. And most people in Ireland are the exact same as me. We're going to ask you, who did you vote for? And we will not want to talk to you, and we will not sit and have a drink with you if we can get a smell of fucking Trump off you. So that's just the way it is. As American people, I'm sorry, most American people who I see are so against all of this. Most American people who I see on the internet and the side of TikTok that I'm on, obviously, and a lot of people who are replying to this woman were like, they're all American, and they're saying, what do you expect? Look at the state of our country. Look at what our government is up to. Look at the state of the world because of our country. The least you can expect when people meet you abroad is for them to ask you, who did you vote for? That is like the least you can expect, especially in Ireland. You do not get to be apolitical in Ireland. You do not get to, can't we just all get along? Can't we just not talk about politics, guys? Let's not make things uncomfortable. Let's not talk about sensitive topics. Oh, we'll go there. We will go there in a heartbeat. It's not uncomfortable for us. Don't worry. We're fine. We're fine. We're not uncomfortable at all. And we have no problem making things a little bit uncomfortable, because we're not going to sit in a pub and have drinks and cheers, sláinte, have a laugh with people who do not radically oppose genocide, colonialism, and everything that's going on in America, basically, that is spreading out to other countries, And this whole, like, I don't want to talk about sensitive things. It's so obvious when people say, oh, let's not go there. We're just here to have fun, guys. Let's just have a laugh. Let's not go there. That is such an indication of someone who knows that everyone else is on this side and they're all over here, and they don't want the drama, they don't want the conflict, they don't want to have to defend themselves, and they probably know that they're wrong also. I was in a beer garden last year, and there were German guys there, and they were like part of my they were like part of the group or whatever. They were like into their metal or whatever, and I was talking to one of the German guys, and obviously I brought up Palestine. Obviously I said I don't want to go to Berlin right now because of the way that they're treating the pro-Palestinian protesters, and he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of violence going on in Berlin. The government is not great when it comes to Palestine. Like, you know, the German government is not doing very well. They have, obviously, because of history, they have an allegiance with Israel, and I'm not going to Berlin. I'm just not going to Berlin. And he was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, he then insinuated, he said a couple of things. I won't even say what he said, but he said a couple of things that insinuated that Israel actually were doing something appropriate. And I'm not going to continue conversing with you. I'm not going to continue having a laugh with you. I'm not going to continue the conversation. And he was like, let's just not talk about it. Let's just not talk about it. Let's talk about something else. I don't want to talk to you about anything else now. I have no interest in anything else you have to say. I have no interest in your favorite music. I have no interest in where you're going on your holidays. I have no interest in having a pint with you. I have no interest in having a fucking laugh with you. I don't want to be anywhere near you. And that's how most people are in Ireland. I don't know about the rest of Europe, but in Ireland, that is how most people are. We will make it a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to say the thing. We're going to ask you who you voted for. We're going to bring up Palestine. We're going to talk about it. And we will act accordingly based on your answers. We're either going to sit and have a drink with you, and we're going to be like, phew, they're cool. They're like us. They're cool. And there's certain things that are fine to agree to disagree on. I'm okay with agreeing to disagree on certain topics or certain things or whatever. But those would be like, you know, inconsequential things. But I'm not okay to agree to disagree with someone on topics of genocide and mass child slaughter. That is not something that I'm willing to. Let's just not go there. Can't we just have a drink and have a laugh? Why? Because right now you and I are safe. Right now, if I was sitting in a bar with her, me and her would be safe. We would be happy. We would be fine. But that doesn't mean that children on earth aren't being harmed in other places because of the decisions that she made and lots of other people like her. No, I'm not willing to overlook that. No, I'm not willing to just sit and have a laugh with you. No.
Not because of like directly what's going on. Any sensitive topic, why would you want, especially while drinking, why would you want to talk about something so sensitive with complete strangers?
Because they wanted to know if you were an arsehole or not. They wanted to know if you were a dickhead, and they found out their answer.
You're a guest in their country. I honestly thought I was doing the polite thing. And I didn't say anything mean or nasty to them. I just simply asked my husband if we paid for our pints already. And he said, yes, we did. And I said, okay, like, we need to go. Like, just the atmosphere just felt very negative and hateful. So dislike me if you will. Call me every name in the book. That's fine. Some of those comments were absolutely diabolical and insane. I can't believe people will take time out of their day to write paragraphs of just hate from one person's video. You guys don't know who I am. It's just, you're generalizing, and that's really unfair and uncool. And I would like to say that if anybody came to my country, I would never, ever outright just be like demanding answers to sensitive topics. It's just, in my book, it's not polite. So yeah.
Do you know what else isn't polite? Bombing children in other countries. That makes me feel a little uncomfy. That makes me feel a little bit sensitive topic. We shouldn't talk about that. That makes me feel, it's a bit inconvenient for me to talk about that. You know, your feelings being a little bit butthurt that people are leaving comments, rightly so, that people are correcting you and calling you out and telling you that what happened in that bar was completely justified, completely justifiable. People, I've read the comments. Her post is deleted now. Her page has gone private, but obviously I saved the video because I knew she would delete it, so I saved the video. But people leaving comments are not hating on you. Most of the comments that I read were from Americans who completely agreed with what happened in that bar and did not see a reason why you have to come on the internet crying. Do you know what I mean? So the reason this woman, I can't remember what her name is, it doesn't matter what her name is, the reason that she said, I would never demand answers from someone for such sensitive topics. The reason why you wouldn't do that is because you don't know anything about politics, in my opinion. I'm just basing this on this video alone. You don't even know anything about the politics of the country that you're visiting. So what questions could you possibly ask? You don't know. What questions? Who did you vote for? Do you even know who was up for running for our recent presidential campaign? No, I'm sure you don't. But everyone in the world knows about America. Everyone in the world knows about the American president, and everyone in the world is tuned into the American politics because it affects everyone on earth. It doesn't just affect Americans, it affects everyone on earth, which is why we all have to pay attention to it. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, we have to also pay attention to our own political sphere and yours, and most Irish people also pay attention to England's as well. But so I'm not shocked that you're saying that. I wouldn't ask you guys any questions because you wouldn't know what questions to ask. You don't know anything about the north of Ireland. You don't know anything about the politics of Ireland. So I'm not shocked that you wouldn't ask any questions because you wouldn't even know where to begin. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I'm being a bit heated in this episode, whereas usually I'm like, I don't want to be mean, but I'm not trying to be mean to this woman. It's just very frustrating. Her trying to make out that these men were being very rude to her trying to make out as if it was really not polite, and I felt really uncomfortable, and I'm a guest in your country. Do not expect to be warmly welcomed everywhere you go on earth, especially if they want to know who you voted for and you don't want to answer that question, because then people will correctly make an assumption, because most people who did not vote for that would be more than happy to say, I didn't vote for this, and they would be more than happy to join in a conversation talking absolute shit about it, and then we could all drink and be like, you're not one of those, sit down, have a drink, I'll buy you a pint, whatever, ha ha he he, let's have an absolute buzz. Okay, so making out as if these people are horrible or rude because they made you feel 5% uncomfortable, and you can't deal with that. Now imagine the pain that people are feeling because of the Trump administration. Way more than just minor inconvenience, way more than just a minor 5 minutes of uncomfortable feeling. Now imagine that pain that people are feeling because of your administration that you voted for. But you can't handle being uncomfortable for 5 minutes. Give me a break.
Polite. So yeah, I do want to just reiterate any apologies. The intention was not to upset or offend anybody. And for all of the people who have been so kind and sent me wonderful messages or left me a sweet comment, thank you. It meant all the world. And no, that one little bar experience did not tarnish what I saw and did, and the people I met were beautiful. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time around a lot of drunk people with the world going crazy right now. And so that's the story.
But who is contributing to the world going crazy? Why is the world going crazy? Who is behind all of this craziness that's going on Earth? And yes, people want to know, did you approve of this? Did you vote for this? Did you contribute to the reason why there's all this craziness going on Earth? Did you have anything to do with this? I think that's a completely fair and valid question for people to be asking Americans. I just do. I'm sorry, I do. And I know that most Americans who listen to this will completely fucking agree with me, because most Americans who listen to my channel probably fucking absolutely agree with me anyway. And they think that this woman is completely full of shit. And I just think, yeah, the world is crazy. This absolutely detached, empty, flat opinion. The world is so crazy. There's so much craziness going on. Yeah, why? Why? Because of whomst exactly? Because of what country exactly is causing all this craziness? What administration is causing all this craziness? Oh, you voted for that? We would rather not talk about politics, actually. Oh, so you did vote for that. Okay, gotcha. So that was the long video that she posted as a kind of explanation. And it's so funny. It's so funny that people are so self-centered, that her being uncomfortable for 10 minutes, but she can't see how massively uncomfortable she's making millions and millions of people. How massively uncomfortable, to say the least, that Trump administration is making millions and millions of people across the globe and across the world. And do not the thing of like, we're a guest in your country, like you have to be nice to us, we're a guest in your country. No one has to be nice to you if you vote for Trump. No one has to be nice to you if you support genocide. Like, have you seen the videos? There's IDF soldiers that come to Ireland for a holiday. They're not warmly welcomed, trust me. They are not warmly welcomed here at all, nor should they be warmly welcomed anywhere, in my opinion. So how do we know for sure that she voted for Trump? Well, I did a little digging, and look what I found in her reposts on TikTok. Okay, so it says, when Trump sees that I'm voting for him, or whatever, and it's like this stupid little like meme or whatever. So that's what she was reposting. There was another one that she reposted that was something kind of similar. It was just like a meme thing about voting for Donald Trump. And so people, it's very easy to connect the dots with these people, especially when she was saying things like, oh, so if I don't want to talk about who I voted for, all of a sudden that means I'm a MAGA Nazi. Like, well, no one is saying that, but it's just very obvious that if you aren't happy with saying who you voted for, if you aren't clearly going to state that I am completely, utterly, 100% against everything that my government is doing, and I'm disgusted by Donald Trump, and he's not my president, and I didn't vote for this. If you're not willing to say that as an American person who wants to travel the earth and who wants to be warmly welcomed everywhere, or feels entitled to be warmly welcomed everywhere, or feels expected to be warmly welcomed everywhere, you have to be willing to say that, or you have to be willing to stand 10 toes down on your decision that you voted for Donald Trump, that you completely approve of what's happening in Palestine, and just to name a few things, and then prepare for a really horrible conversation. Prepare to be uncomfortable, to say the least. It's also just like kind of insane to expect to not be asked because of politeness. Like, the way the world is right now, the way politics are right now, the way America is handling itself, the all of the filthy wars and genocides that America has their finger in, and you expect people to be polite to you just because you're visiting their country. No, you expect not to be asked. That's kind of crazy. Like, I'm sorry, that's kind of crazy. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like, no, you're going to be asked, and you should be asked. And she clearly, in my opinion, based on her reposts, based on all the evidence that we've seen, she clearly did vote for Donald Trump. And now she wants to pick and choose when she's apolitical. Now she wants to pick and choose when, I don't want to talk about politics right now. I'm on my holidays. I don't want to make things uncomfortable. I don't want to answer those questions. I don't want to implicate myself in anything. I don't want to involve myself in any of this. Okay, but you have no choice anymore. Like, the world doesn't get to pick and choose when it's political or when it's not. The world doesn't get to pick and choose when Israel stops bombing children or not. The world doesn't get to pick and choose when America fucking stops or not. Like, the world doesn't get to do that. The rest of us everyone is being impacted by it. Like, everyone is being impacted by it. And you don't get to pick and choose when you're political and when you're not. You don't get to pick and choose that. You don't get to come to Ireland and not be political and choose to not talk about your president. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry. You don't get to set the parameters of how the people of a certain country will receive you or not.
Immediately accused of being a bad person because you're from the United States.
Wait, so they accused you of being a bad person just because you're from the United States?
I walked in with my husband to the Central Bar, and I immediately noticed that they had the world news on, rightfully so. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this world.
Quick question. Who is responsible for a lot of the crazy things that are happening in the world right now?
Then the gentleman said, "Are you American?" And I said, "Yes, we're American." And I'm not lying to you when I say it instantly went from, yes, I'm American, to, well, who'd you vote for? And I kind of was just shocked. I'm like, wow, that was very direct. And I said, we're on vacation. We're trying to get away from all of that. We don't really want to talk about it.
Oh, so they didn't actually accuse you of anything. You just didn't want to answer a question. Why? Why didn't you want to answer that question?
I genuinely just wanted to go in, enjoy some pints. And if it was a friendly conversation, I will gladly go back and forth. But to bring up any sensitive topic, anything like that, I would have said the same thing. Like, I don't want to talk about that. It's uncomfortable.
We wouldn't want you to be uncomfortable, not a little uncomfy. But again, you still haven't talked about who it is you voted for because you want to ignore that on your holiday. Could it possibly be you voted for somebody who has not made it just uncomfy, but rather unbearable, unlivable, deadly even to live in this country, stripping millions of people of their affordable health care, abducting parents off the street, leaving children to come home to empty homes, putting 13-year-old pregnant girls in a detention center in Texas? They are great victims, and now you're also forcing them to give birth. I mean, God forbid you be a little uncomfy on your holiday, though.
Not because of, like, directly what's going on. Any sensitive topic, why would you want, especially while drinking, why would you want to talk about something so sensitive?
Why not just say who you voted for? Because at no point has anyone ever asked me who I voted for, and I not just said confidently Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama. In fact, a lot of y'all like to even say you voted for Barack Obama. Like, oh, come on. Why not just say who you voted for? Because honestly, it's a fair question considering how crazy the world is, as you yourself admit. And for you say you didn't. You posted this the other day talking about how we're canceling people because of who they allegedly voted for. But wait, I saw this. What was that? And what is this one?
Oh, so you really don't care about illegal immigrants being detained by ICE and families being separated? No.
Let me just see if I've got this right. You're on holiday, as you put it, trying to escape all the bad things happening, the bad things that are happening because of the person you voted into office. Then when asked about it, asked who did you vote for, you didn't want to talk about it. And then you yourself admit that they continued to drink and talk about politics because they had the fucking news on when you walked in. And things got more and more angry, which tells me that they had more to say about Donald Trump, who is a fucking clown show, and you didn't like it. And you felt personally attacked while admitting they weren't actually directing it at you.
And because the news was on and because people tend to drink in pubs, and the more upset they were getting and the more nasty the comments began to come. And although they may not have been directed directly to me or my husband.
I've been to Ireland twice. It was a fantastic time. Never once was I embarrassed to talk about who it is I support politically because I care more about other people than I do my fucking self, including other countries like Ireland, who has been negatively impacted by this administration as well. You tried to escape all of it to go on holiday. Congratulations, you're allowed to go on vacation, but you're not a fucking victim because of who you chose to vote for, and you're now embarrassed by it.
There you go. So most of the people who I've seen like stitch her and reply to her and stuff who have been American. I've seen a few people from the north of Ireland adding their 2 cents into this whole thing, and everyone has been like really nice to her. Like, no one is ripping her to shreds. People are just being like, no, you're not the victim. Like, what are you fucking talking about? I'm gonna add in a few more of the replies that I have seen, and including from people from the north of Ireland and also from more Americans, from Americans who have visited Ireland before, just so we get like a diverse group of opinions. But 99% of people who I've seen talk about this are like, get a fucking grip. Like, get a fucking grip. You do not get to vote for Donald Trump and then be warmly welcomed everywhere you go. You do not get to come to Ireland and not be political. You do not get to go to the north of Ireland and not talk about politics. Okay. Anyway, let's watch a few more TikToks.
There's a really fun conversation on here right now from an American tourist who had traveled to the north of Ireland and got asked who she voted for. And she gave a non-answer, which a non-answer is an answer. And I will say, I was just in Ireland in November for 2 weeks solo traveling. And I got asked 8 times who I voted for. And I will say, it makes perfect sense to ask an American who's visiting your country who they voted for. And it's also like, dude, you're in the fucking north of Ireland and you're expecting to be in this fucking apolitical sphere where you aren't asked anything politically. You know, it's like going to an orgy and being surprised that there's like naked people around. It's a little crazy. But in the 2 weeks that I was there, one of my favorite parts of the country was Belfast, specifically West Belfast. You know, walking down fucking Falls Road, seeing these hella sick murals, You know, to appropriate slang I learned out there, it was fucking class. And I'm actually planning on going back again later this year. I want to do Belfast again. I want to do Derry, of course. But like, quick side story about like this air of politicalness in Ireland is I was in Cork and I was outside a coffee shop and I was reading my Bible since like sophomore year of college, The Reconquest of Ireland by Connolly. And I studied early 20th century Irish literature in college, nerd. And to really understand 20th century Irish literature, you have to know 20th century Irish history. You know, you have to know Pierce, you have to know Connolly, you have to know what happened in fucking 1916. Because that obviously gives context to all of the literature that was being published, and also all of the music that was being published at the end of the 20th century. So, I mean, because of all of that, it is fucking insane if you're an American and you're going out to another country, whether it be Ireland or whatever, and not be expected to answer who you voted for.
This is for the American in the kitchen jar bar, so if you're not here, scroll on. First off, I can't imagine the absolute culture shock of being treated in the same way your country treats other people who aren't from there. 2. Google is free. YouTube is free. There are tens, if not hundreds, of documentaries detailing the Troubles and before. And my last question is, if Republicans agree so much with what Trump is doing, why would you be ashamed to say that you're a Donald Trump supporter? And before anyone says I'm making assumptions, just as that lady has said to many, many commenters under her videos, I leave you with this. Not an assumption. Your race posts and social media are public. In a time where countries are being culturally and physically colonised by the West, by the same person that you voted for, who's also a paedophile and a convicted felon. Remember, those are the types of people that he's deporting from America, so maybe he needs to deport himself. But within that time, coming to a country, a post-conflict society that has its own history of colonisation, everything is political. And for you to say, oh, it's sad that like people can't take politics out of everyday conversation, we know. It's actually the consequences of our colonisation, believe it or not. Where 1 month in every year brings civil unrest, where people grew up with painted curbs, were put into categories determined by their last name or their geographical location. Being told it's not safe to go here because you're a Protestant, or it's not safe to go there because you're a Catholic. Not being able to wear Rangers or Celtic tops in certain areas without the fear of leaving that place bloodied. Kneecappings, punishment beatings, illegal paramilitaries that groom children and young people to sell drugs for them. In a place where people get put out of their homes for being the religion that is not of the state. In a place where people have that much power that they can ring the statutory body responsible for housing us to say, no, that person's not living there. No Catholics in the estate. No Protestants in the estate. Research is probably necessary in those areas. If you had have came here 40 years ago, you would have been in the middle of an active conflict zone. Which is why, depending on who you're talking to and depending on what area you're in, people are going to have completely opposing opinions or completely differing opinions than yourself or others that inhabit the country.